Yo, book nerds! March is sometimes called Middle Grade March, and in celebration of that, today I want to talk to you about some middle grade books that I love. This is not a top 5 or top 10 list at all. So what I did was I looked at my shelves and I just grabbed books off that were middle grade that I know I loved. Whether I loved them as a child or as an adult, didn't matter. If it was middle grade and I loved it, I just pulled it off. So I have 5 standalones and then I have 2 series. And so we'll just run through those and maybe it'll give you some ideas of some middle grade books to maybe read this month. I am of the firm belief that you do not have to be in middle school to read middle grade books. You do not have to be a kid to enjoy children's books. Quite honestly, sometimes those books are the most fun. So I'm going to start off with the 2 series and then we'll go into the standalones. So first off is a classic. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's The Chronicles of Narnia. I just pulled off the first book, which is The Magician's Nephew. Like I said, this is a series. It's by C.S. Lewis. I read this as a kid and I just adored it. I had actually seen the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe movie first, and that's what made me buy the series and read it as a kid, and I loved all of the books. They were so much fun and I flew through them. I couldn't put them down. So it's not surprising that this one would make my list. Then we have another series. We have the Shadow Children series, which is by Margaret Peterson Haddix. This is book number 1. This is Among the Hidden. I, again, adored all of these books. I read them when I was a kid, flew through them, couldn't put them down. I was addicted to them. Basically, if you don't know what these books are about, basically it's set in like an alternate reality where you are only allowed to have 2 children. This first book follows Luke, who is a hidden child. He is a third-born child, and so he doesn't exist in the eyes of the government. He has to hide in his house, and the whole series is about these hidden children, these third-born or 4th or 5th, etc., born children that are not supposed to exist. And so it is so good. So those are the 2 series that I had on my list. And then I have 5 standalones for you guys. 4 of the 5 I read when I was a kid and 1 I read as an adult. So I'm going to talk about the one that I read as an adult, which is The Last Map Maker by Christina Soontorn Vaught. I read this last summer for grad school and it was amazing. I just love this. It's a fantasy book. I have a review for it. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. Since I have a review for it, you can go watch that. I won't explain it again here, but fantasy story, dragons, like it's very good. Now back to the books that I read as a child. I have another book by Margaret Peterson Haddix. She was one of my favorites when I was a kid. And this is Running Out of Time. This book I read so many times because I loved it. It was one of my absolute all-time favorites. Running Out of Time is about a girl named Jessie, and she and her family live in this community, and it's like set back in time. I can't remember off the top of my head what year they live in, but their village is like set back in time. And the adults know that this is just their choice to live like this, but the children don't know this. They think this is reality. They don't know that if they leave their village, that it's modern day and there's all this technology they've never seen before. Something is happening in their village. People are dying off from diphtheria. And Jessie is told that there's a cure in modern day and she has to leave to go save everyone. And she gets out of her village and she's never seen cars or phones or anything like that. And so it's like she's stepped into another world. She feels like a time traveler even though she is not an actual time traveler. Like she doesn't understand what she's seeing. and people are trying to stop her. And it's just a crazy, intense thriller for a child. Like, that's what it is. I was always on the edge of my seat when I read it as a kid. Obviously, it's not going to be as intense as adult thrillers, but it is so much fun to read this. Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. I love this book. My copy is just falling apart because I've read it so many times. I have like taped it back together. As you can see, like the cover has fallen off. I should just buy a new one, but this was my copy and it has been loved on for years and I just can't get rid of it. So obviously, like Charlotte's Web, I'm sure you're familiar with the story. It's so common. But basically, a spider and a pig become friends and things ensue from there. And it's great. It is one of my all-time favorites. All of these are all-time favorites. I feel like I keep saying that, but it's true. Like, I have such good feelings when I think back on these books. Just love them so much. These are the books that helped grow my love of reading that I have today. If it weren't for these middle grade books that I read, I wouldn't be the reader that I am today. This is where it all began. So yes, I have a lot of good feelings about all of these books. Next we have Doing Time Online, which is by Jan Seibold. This is about a boy who gets in trouble and his punishment is to chat with an elderly person online, and this is how he's supposed to learn from his mistake and grow as a better person. And this story just, I don't know, it struck a chord with me when I was younger. It's not a happy book. It talks a lot about mistakes and how to become a better person, and I definitely think everyone should read it, especially young kids, because young kids, when they make mistakes, either they don't own up to it or they think it's the end of the world because they made a mistake, and it's not. And so I think this book was so important for me, and I think it is important for other people to read because it hits on some tough things to talk about for young kids, because everyone makes mistakes. That's part of life. But the other part that goes with it is learning how to deal with those mistakes and grow and become a better person. And then we have Because of Winn-Dixie, which is by Kate DiCamillo. I love Kate DiCamillo. I have so many of her books. I could honestly put all of them on here. Let's see. Right here we have The Tale of Despereaux. Love The Tale of Despereaux. Okay, I'm just adding these books to it, okay? I am. Okay, I'm just adding some more books now at the end. So I just gotta talk about Kate DiCamillo. So we have Because of Winn-Dixie. Amazing book. I love the movie. The book is amazing. I've read it a few times. It's about a girl and her dog. Like, how cuter can it be? I'm a dog person, so of course I love it. This girl, Opal, she moves to a new town. She doesn't have any friends. She finds a dog, and the dog helps her to make friends. It's just such a feel-good story, but there are some difficult things that Opal learns to deal with too at the same time. And it's just so great. I love this book so much. Yeah, so I'm adding 2 more books as we create this video. So we have The Tale of Despereaux, also by Kate DiCamillo. This is a story about a mouse, and it's adorable. And the mouse has to save the princess. Like, of course, it is an amazing, fun little fairy tale. It is adorable. Love it. And then another one by Kate DiCamillo is The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. And this is about a bunny. It is about a stuffed animal. And it is about how this stuffed animal has gone from person to person, and it goes on a journey. And I don't want to say too much if you haven't read it, because it's just an amazing little story. I love it. So yeah, Kate DiCamillo always hits my heart. So I guess I lied at the beginning of the video when I said I had 5 standalones. I added 2, so now I have 7 standalones, and I have 2 series. So there you go. Here are all of them. And I just recommend, if you feel like it in March, it's middle grade March, like I said, pick up one of these books or pick up another middle grade, maybe one you've read, but it's been a long time, or pick up something you haven't read and give it a try, because middle grade is so much fun and so light and easy. So like, it is not a huge commitment to participate in middle grade March. I think adults especially need to remember what it feels like to be a child and to take that step back and just fall back into childhood wonder and enjoyment and childhood fun. Like, it's so good for your soul. It just is. And so let me know what middle grade books you love. Have you read any of the ones that I listed? Did you love them like I did? Let me know in the comments. That's all for me this week. I will talk to you next Monday. Hit like and subscribe, and thanks for talking books with me.